Yo, what it do, y'all? I'm your host, Will. Welcome to Phantom Frequency, where we get into the entire multiverse of pop culture, if you will. Doesn't matter what topic it is, it could be any of those or a specific one. We discuss it around here. Click all the buttons below the video. We really do appreciate y'all's support and all the new subscribers and everyone coming in, commenting on the videos and all that. We love the engagement. We need the engagement, and we just have fun nerding out with this stuff with you guys. But we are going to be nearing the end of the X-Men review series, and we're having Deadpool and Wolverine week, obviously, for the release of Deadpool and Wolverine, aka Deadpool 3. So today, we're going to be getting into one of my personal all-time favorite X-Men franchise installments, one of my favorite movies in the past 10 years, 10, 15 years, bar none. I'm talking about, obviously, 2017's Logan, the Wolverine swan song that was, at the time, for the entire run of Hugh Jackman as the title character. And I gotta say, man, there was a lot of hype going into this film 2016 and 2017 when they were announcing this and doing the Comic-Con trailers and all that good jazz. Wolverine, oh my gosh. Hugh Jackman was getting in crazy shape for it, and obviously, and he was going to be doing a Old Man Logan-esque type of version of the character, and that's always been one of the best storylines to come out of comics, written by Mark Miller, if I'm not mistaken, in the last 10 years or so as well. So, one of the best Wolverine stories of all time. Definitely felt like great inspiration for the culmination of Hugh Jackman's version of Wolverine over the past damn near 20 years at that point, and now over 20 years. And supposedly in Deadpool and Wolverine, apparently that's a different Wolverine. So we have seen the true end of the OG X-Men version of Wolverine that we know, and that is a variant. So for this right here, we weren't dealing with any time travel shenanigans. We weren't dealing with any over-the-top supervillains, no costumes, not even a lot of mutants to begin with. This was a true blue Dark Knight-esque type of comic book movie where they were really taking the inspiration of the comic and really just making a Western neo-noir film about it, a post-apocalyptic neo-noir Western, you know what I mean? And it was just this really awesome blend of a lot of things from comic book lore mixed in with some really great ideas that James Mangold and whoever were the writers on the film implemented into the script. And everything just is just so well realized and comes together so well. This to me is always going to be my favorite James Mangold film because it just seemed like my man was in his bag, just fucking cooking on this one for reals. Like everything worked, like from a storytelling standpoint, from an acting standpoint, from a directing standpoint, and just the transitions from scene to scene and how the story progresses. It has perfect pacing, but it's slow and takes its time. It is a slow burn, but it's never boring. It's never uninteresting. It's always leaning on character and emotion to be the main thing driving you through the story in this film, and that's what it truly stays as. But when the action hits, the fucking action is smacking, bro. Like, this shit is dope. Like the scene with Laura taking on the Reavers when they come into Wolverine and Charles like compound or whatever, when Charles is trying to make the escape and they're trying to go on this job, if you will, to buy the Sunseeker, the boat, if they get this money from Laura, from Laura's adopted mother, who was one of the people working on the experimentation of these kids in whatever crazy Weapon X program that Trask's son or grandson was doing at this time, man. And the whole culmination of everything up to that moment, and when the action hits and she throws that severed head at him, it just goes ape shit, man. Boyd Holbrook's all running for cover. All the Reavers are trying to go in, and she is pulling off some of the illest choreography and whatever stunt doubles they were using or however they were pulling this shit off, dude. It was fucking awesome. And then when Hugh Jackman, aka Wolverine's coming up into this thing and he gets involved, it is so badass. And then them teaming up, working together, her hopping on top of the limo, like, it's just such thrilling sequences all throughout the film, and it's sprinkled in at just the right moments, and it even drives point the story and the emotion and the characters' journeys every time, and it's a big impactful moment, you know. Every fight matters. Every action scene matters to drive the story forward and plays into what you come to comic book movies for. And that was the brilliance of it. But all the action scenes, for the most part, are very much as grounded as you can possibly get with mutants and people with superpowers. You know what I'm saying? So that is the beauty of this film, where it doesn't feel like it's not paying respect to the source material that it comes from. It doesn't feel like it's trying to stray away from what makes comic book movies what they are, but it also is adding this dose of reality and this groundedness and this level of drama and just real life palpable themes that you can actually connect to when it comes to mortality, when it comes to grief, when it comes to mental health, when it comes to the feeling of abandonment and the feeling of like you're not the right person to take care of this person, even though that responsibility kind of gets thrust upon you. There's just so many universal themes and emotions that are going through this film for the character of Logan, for the character of Charles Xavier, for the character of X-23, aka Laura. All of that just comes together so damn well, man. I love every single second of it. And just the opening sequence as well, when he's fighting the thugs and they're trying to steal his limo, just from the start of the film, you just get that raw intensity from Wolverine, man. And he ain't lost. He's definitely lost a step. You know what I'm saying? He does get fucked up quite a bit. Obviously, his healing factor is not playing in as well, and that all plays into some of the elements of the previous film, the Wolverine from 4 years prior at the time, but just a little over a decade ago at the time of this video's recording. And the way that that all plays in elements from the previous film does such a great job at establishing that this is the Logan, aka Wolverine, that we've come to know and love. And this is the end of his journey many years into the future. Obviously, the entire X-Men team are deceased. Every member you can think of, Beast, Jean Grey, Cyclops, Storm, Nightcrawler, any person you can think of, they're all dead. So, and we don't really know right away what the cause of it is, and the way that they leave that mystery on in the film never feels tedious and feels earned, because obviously a character wouldn't want to dive back into their trauma like that and talk about the moment where their entire family was killed in an instant. And it makes it kind of seem like it's something similar to Old Man Logan, or if I'm remembering correctly, where he ends up getting mind controlled and kills the X-Men and gets tricked by Mysterio in the comics, obviously not in this film. But the way that they're able to seamlessly make you kind of think that, if you're a comic book nerd and kind of have that as like a point of contention, or just in general, you're probably going to suspect Logan for being responsible for it anyway, just because he's a loose cannon for the violence and for the element of the claws and everything that he has. He's very, very agile and very dangerous and can easily take out many of the members of the X-Men if he really wanted to. So that's all that plot thread is kind of dangling in the background the whole time and looming over the film with like this dark like cloud over everything going on, and you're just like, I wonder what happened, like what the hell's going on. And then when you find out the ultimate reveal that it was Charles Xavier having seizures that caused this, because his brain is so powerful, they literally consider it a deadly weapon, and it just causes this effect to where it just like puts people into like this really painful state where no one can move, everyone's frozen in time, and they eventually will succumb and die to the effects of what this seizure is causing to everyone. And just shows you the level of power that Professor Charles Xavier has and that Professor X has, as I think he would be considered an Omega level mutant, if I'm not mistaken. And that just shows the power that he has and gives you a whole entire reveal of what happened to the X-Men. And he doesn't even quite remember that. He even suspects Logan is responsible for it, and Logan would prefer him to think it's him doing it, not himself, because he knows Charles wouldn't be able to live with that quite well either, and wants to keep him sedated with his medicine, A, to keep the seizures away, but B, to keep him a little more cloudy and a little more docile, so he doesn't have to deal with the trauma and the things that happened in the past, and can just kind of be a silent partner going forward with Logan to kind of go into, and he's all suicidal and shit, so who knows, maybe he just wants to get on the boat to kill himself and leave Charles Xavier in a peace, in a place where no one can get to him and no one can harm him, I guess. I don't know what the whole, thing was there, but it was just like a dark, looming thing that was going on with Charles Xavier and Logan, and just the whole way that their relationship has always been so like fractured and struggle and such a struggle, but they've always had such a strong bond together in this continuity of the X-Men films, all the way from 2000's X-Men all the way through the Days of Future Past and into Logan as the follow-up, because obviously he wasn't in 2016's Apocalypse, only was a quick cameo for the Weapon X scene. He didn't interact with Charles Xavier or anyone like that. Really, he just saw Jean Grey for a moment because, they had to allude to the whole history of the characters. But in retrospect, kind of never really went anywhere. But like I said, cool sequence. I can't take that away from X-Men Apocalypse. But when it comes to Logan, I just love the way that Charles Xavier and Logan's relationship is just so at the forefront of the film, and ends in such a tragic way when the damn clone of Logan, X-24, comes in, and you thinking that it's Logan for a second until you look at him and realize he's kind of really young looking, and then you're like, wait a minute, what the fuck? And then your brain starts to come together when you see the Reavers and everyone's on the scene. You're like, oh shit, they made a whole nother clone with no emotions to take him out. same abilities, everything. And it's almost like looking at this like dark, like variant, like mirror version of yourself, like a bizarro version of Wolverine that comes in and stabs Charles Xavier in the stomach, in the chest. And then when the real Logan finds him, he's like, "Hey, it's not me. It's not me. Like, I want you to know it's not me." Like, he wants to make sure before he goes that he's aware that he didn't do that to him because he cares about him like a father and would never ever do anything to harm him at all. He would give his life for Charles. So that was just such a tragic way for Charles to go and such a powerful way for him to go. And even though we've gotten some cameos of him in Multiverse of Madness and things like that at this point, it still is so powerful every time I watch that scene, and just it's just so heartbreaking every time I see Charles Xavier go out like that. And then the whole scene and then the whole scene of Logan and Laura riding off to go bury Charles Xavier is just such a powerful moment as well. And they have their embrace for a moment, but Logan, he's always so damn, tortured and so and so scared to get close to anybody because he feels like anytime he does, someone's bound to get hurt or die. And it just, you could kind of understand that in the life that he's led up to this point. It does seem like everyone he's cared about the most has essentially left or been killed. So that all kind of plays into it all the way back from his tragic beginnings of how he killed his own father when his mutation kicked in. So I think that's just a lot of really great tragic theme stuff, and a lot of the themes that carry through Wolverine as a character plays into every installment, no matter how good or bad. But they all ties into this installment right here as the culmination of the Wolverine trilogy, and it's just so fucking awesome, man. And like I said, circling back around, Daphne Keene as Laura Kinney, aka X-23, in this film, such a phenomenal performance where she rarely even has any dialogue, and most of her dialogue is also in Spanish, by the way. I'm not entirely sure if she's Spanish or Hispanic or of Latin or Spanish descent. I have no idea. Latinx, whatever people say these days, not sure, but she did such a phenomenal job with it. I kind of feel like she is, but she was just so great and one of the best child actors I had seen in years, man, since I was a child, because her performance was so powerful and had so much gravitas to it, and had so much just like layers to it, and it just felt like she'd been doing movies for years, man, and she just felt wise behind her years, and you just bought every time she had the physicality and the action scenes and the brutality and the intense nature and the dark side of that character. You felt it in her performance, and you felt it through the actress's eyes and through what she was doing on screen, and you felt like she could really take these motherfuckers out, like these grown ass people. You really felt like she could take Logan on, and it was just really powerful stuff. And just the whole scene between her and Logan, all throughout the film, her and Hugh Jackman just totally matching his energy, if not upstaging him at times, man. Phenomenal performance, one of the best I've ever seen, one of the best performances in the entire Fox X-Men run of films, one of the best performances in any comic book adaptation ever. I will totally say that. And she's one of my favorite characters ever on screen, man. So I just love the character X-23. Spoiler alert. She is supposed to be in Deadpool and Wolverine. So we'll see where that goes, man. But I just love her in this film, Logan, and it's fucking awesome. And then you can't forget about the villainous performances from Boyd Holbrook, and I'm forgetting the gentleman's name, but I'm gonna get it on the screen here. He was also phenomenal in series like Loki and things like that. But he was awesome as the main antagonist here, and this was the one performance of Boyd Holbrook that really won me over on him as an actor. And now I've definitely been rooting for him moving forward. And I think with the right role, you really buy him, and he was really cool in this movie. Not like a super crazy badass character, but I really dug the design they had of him and the energy and the swagger he brought to the role. I really, really just dug him in this role, man. I thought he was really good. And like I said, I can't remember this gentleman's name, but the older actor, he was a phenomenal villain in this film as well. And you totally got where he was coming from. And he definitely was a one-dimensional villain, but just a really good, great performance with a lot of presence when he was on screen. So really good stuff. I'm forgetting the other guy's name that played Caliban. His performance was also really good. And yeah, just a beautifully written film. And I love all the needle drops in here between like Johnny Cash, and you get Jim Croce and different things like that, and getting to get different pop culture references like that movie Shane or whatever in the Western, and the whole way that was such an influential thing on Laura's character, Laura as a character, was just so awesome. And like I said, this is James Mangold's best work. This to me is always going to be one of my all-time favorite X-Men installments. It's going to be one of my favorite comic book movies to the end of time, to the end of my days. I absolutely Love this movie, and I want to hear from y'all down below in the comment section. Let me know what you think about Logan. Is it your favorite, your least favorite, somewhere in between? Let me know what you think about it. I absolutely love this film. Cannot wait to see what happens in Deadpool and Wolverine, to see how they're going to follow this up and not kind of ruin the legacy that it has as being that end, and finding something new and fresh to do with him. Does seem to be the way that they've landed the plane, but we will see. As of the recording of this video, I'm going to be seeing that the next day, and you'll be seeing the spoiler review within 24 hours of me. I mean, the spoiler-free review, of course. You'll be seeing that within 24 hours of this video dropping. So make sure you stay posted, you stay tuned to the channel. We got some cool stuff coming. Deadpool 2 review later today, and then we're going to be getting into Deadpool and Wolverine tomorrow. I might even have a Terrifier 3 trailer breakdown, so make sure you stay tuned, you don't sleep on any of this dopeness, and we're going to catch you again real soon. Much love, peace out.